Imagine it's 1914. The world is engulfed in the Great War, a conflict of unprecedented scale and brutality. Millions of young men are dug into muddy, freezing trenches stretching for miles across Europe. The landscape is a hellscape of barbed wire, shell craters, and a constant threat of death. Hope is a distant memory, and peace seems like an impossible dream. This is the Western Front. For months, British and German soldiers have faced each other across a narrow, terrifying strip of land called No Man's Land. They've endured relentless artillery bombardments, terrifying machine gun fire, and the sheer misery of trench life. The orders are simple: kill or be killed. Yet, as Christmas approaches, something extraordinary, something almost unbelievable, begins to happen. It starts with small, tentative signs. On Christmas Eve, the relentless noise of war begins to fade. The guns fall silent. British soldiers, huddled for warmth in their trenches, hear something strange drifting across the battlefield. It's not the sound of an attack, it's music. The Germans are singing Christmas carols. One of their favorites is Still Nacht, Silent Night. Hesitantly at first, the British soldiers respond. They start singing their own carols. The first Noel echoes back across the desolate landscape for a few precious moments. The battlefield is transformed into a surreal, open-air concert, a shared celebration of a holiday that transcends nationality and conflict. As the carols travel back and forth, a new sound emerges: voices, shouted greetings in broken English and German. Merry Christmas, Tommy. Happy Christmas, Fritz. Banners and signs start appearing above the parapets, wishing the enemy a happy holiday. This is more than just a pause in the fighting. It's a bridge being built, inch by inch, across the divide of war. Then comes the most daring step of all. A German soldier, unarmed, cautiously climbs out of his trench and walks into No Man's Land. He holds no weapon, only a small Christmas tree, its candles flickering in the cold night air. Hearts pound on both sides. Is it a trap? A trick? But then, a British soldier does the same. He leaves the relative safety of his trench and steps out to meet his enemy. Soon, dozens, then hundreds of soldiers from both armies are emerging from their trenches. They meet in the middle, in the very space that just hours before was a deadly killing field. They shake hands. They share cigarettes, chocolate, and souvenirs from home. They show each other pictures of their families, wives, children. Parents, realizing the enemy is just a man like themselves, caught in the same horrific circumstances. One of the most famous accounts comes from a British soldier named Bruce Bairnsfather. He described how he found a German who spoke a little English, and we had a good chat. They exchanged buttons from their uniforms as keepsakes. He realized these were not the savage monsters from the propaganda posters. They were ordinary men, barbers, farmers, factory workers, who desperately missed their homes and families. The truce wasn't just about handshakes and carols. In many sectors, the soldiers took this opportunity to do something profoundly human. They buried their dead. Comrades who had lain for weeks in No Man's Land were finally given a proper burial. Joint services were held, with soldiers from both sides standing shoulder to shoulder, paying their respects to the fallen, regardless of their uniform. It was a moment of shared grief and mutual respect that defied the very nature of war. And then, there was the football match, or rather, several of them. In the frosty fields of No Man's Land, soldiers used helmets for goalposts and kicked around whatever they could find: a ration tin, a bundle of straw. For a short time, they weren't soldiers fighting a war. They were young men playing a game. Laughter replaced the sound of artillery. Cheers replaced the cries of battle. These impromptu games became the most iconic symbol of the Christmas Truce, a perfect metaphor for shared humanity triumphing over conflict. Think about the courage it took. Not the courage to charge into machine gun fire, but the courage to defy orders, to see the humanity in your designated enemy, and to choose peace, even for a day. These men knew they could be court-martialed or shot for fraternizing with the enemy. Yet, they did it anyway. Why? Because the spirit of Christmas, the longing for peace, and human connection was stronger than the orders of generals and the hatred of nations. Sadly, the truce was not universal. In some parts of the front, the fighting continued unabated, and the high command on both sides was furious. They saw it as an act of insubordination, a threat to the fighting spirit of their troops. General Sir Horace Smith-Dorrien of the British, the Second Corps, issued strict orders forbidding any friendly communication with the enemy. The message was clear: this must never happen again. When Christmas Day ended, the soldiers reluctantly returned to their trenches. In some areas, the truce lingered for another day, but the pressure from above was immense. The war had to go on. A German soldier wrote in his diary, "It was a day of peace in war. It is a pity that it was not a decisive peace." As the first shots were fired to signal the end of the truce, there was a shared sadness. The men who had just shared gifts and played football were now expected to kill each other once more. Some accounts tell of soldiers firing intentionally high into the air, unwilling to aim at the men they had just befriended. But the machinery of war is relentless. Within days, the fighting on the Western Front had returned to its brutal, bloody routine. The Christmas Truce of 1914 was never repeated on such a scale. The war dragged on for 4 more years, becoming even more brutal and dehumanizing. New weapons like poison gas and massive artillery bombardments made the idea of a friendly truce seem impossible. The brief moment of peace was buried under millions of casualties and the hardening of hearts. For decades, the story of the Christmas Truce was largely suppressed, an inconvenient and embarrassing footnote for the military histories. It didn't fit the official narrative of heroic sacrifice and a determined enemy. It was a story of common soldiers who realized they had more in common with each other than with the leaders who sent them to fight. But the story survived, passed down in the letters and diaries of the men who were there. It's a testament to the fact that even in the darkest of times, in the most inhumane of circumstances, the human spirit can shine through. It reminds us that empathy and compassion are not weaknesses, but powerful forces that can bridge any divide. The Christmas Truce is more than just a heartwarming historical anecdote. It's a powerful lesson. It challenges us to look beyond the labels and uniforms that separate us. It asks us to question the narratives that paint others as monstrous enemies. It shows that peace isn't just an abstract concept negotiated by politicians. It's something that can be built, person to person, through simple acts of kindness and understanding. Today, over a century later, the world is still filled with conflict and division. It's easy to feel hopeless, to believe that war and hatred are inevitable parts of the human condition. But then we remember those soldiers in 1914. We remember the carols sung across no man's land, the shared cigarettes, the handshakes, the football matches. Their story is a beacon of hope. It's a reminder that our shared humanity is stronger than any flag, any border, any ideology. It proves that even when the world is telling you to hate, it is always possible to choose a different path. It's a story that deserves to be told, to be remembered, and to be cherished, especially during the Christmas season. It's the ultimate story of peace on earth and goodwill to all men. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you, please share it, so that the memory of that remarkable day in 1914 continues to inspire hope for generations to come. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that explore the incredible moments of our Shah. Red history, Merry Christmas, and peace to you all.